Hello YouTubers and welcome back to the channel. So today we're working back on the Turbo Mini and trying to sort out the exhaust. So as you can see, I've taken that housing back off, which is a down pipe that goes onto the turbo on the exhaust side. So you can see the pipe down there, the exhaust pipe, and it's like a flange on it. It's very difficult to see with this, but it's basically a flange on there, and you can see it's bright on the right hand side of the screen there, and then probably 70-80% of it is black, so it's leaking. I cannot get that to seal. 4 attempts at it. I've had the entire exhaust system back off and back on again. So what it uses is this clamp. So the idea is, as this squeezes together, it's supposed to compress the two mating surfaces together and seal them, but it doesn't. I just cannot get it to seal. So this is the housing. So I've cleaned it all up, so you can see it's pretty clean. So, and you may wonder why that piece of metal's on there. So I've tacked that on there just to see if it'll weld. So this is the next plan of attack. So I'm going to see how successful that is. If it breaks away and it's not a very good weld, then I'm going to remake that housing just out of a weldable steel. But if it welds up okay, this is going to make my life very easy. So what I'll do is I'll buy two 2-inch flanges, and I'll just basically weld one each side, and then they'll just bolt together with an exhaust gasket, which is all standard off-the-shelf stuff. Makes life incredibly easy. It makes it very easy for me to assemble the exhaust, because I can actually access those two nuts from underneath, because I can run a stud on this side. I'll put 2 studs in, so they'll be facing downwards, as like you probably see on most cars, to be honest. Yeah, it's going to be a lot simpler, and I think it's going to seal a lot better as well. So yeah, that's the next plan of attack. Okay guys, so exhaust is now back off the Mini yet again. Let me take you over to the bench, show you what I'm going to do with it. So that's the housing. You can see that's like a flange on there, thick flange. So there's another one there. So I'm going to weld that one to the exhaust. So I'll subtract from that exhaust, cut that, and this will slide over the top and weld that. I'll tack it to start off with, and just make sure it's in the right place, and then bolt it together on this flange. And I've also got a gasket there as well to go on there. So hopefully that works. It might do. This is the thing, it's quite rigid now, so well, it will be when it's all welded up, so it might fatigue and just crack off, but the next thing to try is make a completely new housing out of a different material, maybe stainless steel or something like that, and then use a V-band, which will be even easier, but that's getting pretty it's going to take a while to make one of those, and it's going to start getting a bit more expensive. So this is just like hopefully a quick fix. I'm going to TIG it on. You see the TIG welders at the end of the bench there. So yeah, hopefully it all welds up okay. That actually fused together quite nicely, a lot better than I expected it to. So I didn't use any filler at all in that. I just basically just fused the two metals together because they're so thick that there's heaps of metal there, and it will just, yeah, it will just fuse. So I'm going to flip it over, as you can see underneath there, and I'll do exactly the same on that side as well. So it's fused on both sides. Hopefully it should stay on. Okay, so that's it, all finished. I'm no TIG welder. I haven't done a lot of TIG welding, so yeah, don't criticise the welds, and it's probably not the easiest thing to weld either. So it's like, I think they call it ductile cast, so you can actually weld it. Yeah, I think that'll work. It seems to fuse incredibly well. Okay guys, so this is the stage I'm at. I've welded 2 bolts onto the housing, and then I've bolted on the flange on the exhaust side. So I've cut this, let me just move the camera a bit. So I've cut the exhaust at the end. Now the issue with doing it this way is that obviously before you could rotate it because it was just a round flange on there, so you could just spin it around to the right position. This time I can't, so I should just be able to get the MIG welder up there and just zap a sack and hold it in position, but I've got to really make sure that this exhaust is sitting exactly in the right place. Now I did measure it off of those pipes there before I took it off, so I'm going to try and put it back in exactly the same place and then tack it up. Wish me luck, guys. Okay guys, this is back off the car now. It was incredibly tight getting it past the subframe, so I caught the bit of paint on the subframe just here on the edge. So there's plenty of body left in this flange, so what I'll do is I'll just reduce the size a wee bit, just bring that back a bit with the grinder. I've almost just got to just round that, put an arrow on that edge there, and that'll probably be enough to relieve it. The MIG welder was absolutely horrendous trying to get it in there. And yeah, it's probably the worst weld I've ever done, but it was enough to hold it so I can unbolt it and it's all in the right position. So yeah, so I'll start TIG welding that up, and then I'll grind those horrible snotty welds back and then just TIG them in so it's nice and neat. But as for the process of putting the exhaust back on, it's so easy to get to those 2 bolts, it's unreal. It's so much easier than the bracket that was on there before, and there's actually less bulkiness in this flange than there was in this bracket here on the original car. So it's actually bigger, because this used to almost touch the engine. So yeah, so this will actually, in some ways, it will reduce the heat from the exhaust going back onto the engine. So anyway, let's get this tigged up. Okay, so I've tigged that all up now. So I just ground out the horrible snots from the MIG welder, put a few tacks on there first with a TIG around it, and then yeah, just ground them out and then just tidied it all up. That's a bit tidier, a bit happier with that now. Okay, as you can probably hear, it's absolutely pouring down outside. A lot of noise because we're on a tin roof in the shed, so I'll try and talk above it. So I've just TIG welded this side of the flange as well, all the way around that perimeter, and then I've just ground it back with a die grinder just to try and smooth it out a bit. So yeah, I'll let that cool down and then I can bolt that onto the car. Okay, so I managed to push it straight in there, no issues at all. And as you can see, I can just about get my hand up this side to get the bolt on a washer. It's a little bit fiddly, but it's not too bad. It's certainly easier than the clamp from the top. And I can just literally put a socket on there and put the one on the other side. Sorry guys, the camera work isn't very good. It's quite difficult because I'm trying to hold the tool and hold the camera at the same time. So, fingers crossed, that's going to seal. That's pretty tight now. Just pinch the one up on the other side. Yeah. Okay. Got a small amount of clearance on the CV joint there. Not a lot, but there's a bit there. There's actually more because it's because of the fiberglass sticking out of it. But you can see it's just as tight to the subframe as well. And my finger is there, so it's fairly even in there. It looks like the exhaust is about in the right place, which is the most important bit. So I'll bolt this one up now here, and then get the rest of the exhaust system on. Okay guys, you can see how easy that was to put on. You didn't see the first bit, but I just basically went underneath and just threw it straight in. No problems at all. Clearance I think is okay. Up here. So I'm just about get my fingers behind there. So yeah, it's pretty close to the cable, to the main cable, main live feed. But then it's just as close to the gear change, and what I don't want is for that when I change gear. Even now I can make it clash, but I think it'll be alright. I just have to see how it goes. I can't go over that way anymore because I feel it's getting a bit too close to that live. But no, it seems to have gone in okay. And up here now, this just feels so solid. Whereas before, every time I tried to move this, it just kept moving around in that joint up there. So yeah, I can see why it just kept blowing. Yeah, that should be a whole better job now. I've just got to put my sensor in there where my finger is. So I welded on that boss there. So I welded that on. There's a lambda sensor there, so you have to be very careful with those not to touch them. so not to shock them. So yeah, got to be gentle with those. Right, well, let's get that bolted in, and that will make that safe then, and get that plugged back in. And hopefully that's another one of the issues sorted out. So I kind of feel like I'm getting there, slowly working through all the snags on it. So I've still got an oil leak. It's not from the joint originally thought. You can see it just dripping there. And I found out where it is. It's like that bolt up there, where you close off the oil galleries. You can just see it there. So it's weeping out of that one. So I'll pop that one back off, put a new copper washer on it, and just do it up. At least that's nice and easy, and I can get to that as well. So that's not the end of the world, and that will be that oil leak sorted then. I thought it was coming out of here on the sump plug, but it's not. It's actually running down from up there. Okay guys, so if you made it this far, big thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Okay, cheers for now.